The Acer Predator Helios 300 is an incredibly good gaming laptop and a steal for the price, but very few PCs or laptops compare to the value of the PS5 when it comes down to it. So, just how well does the PS5 stack up against a high-end gaming laptop? Let's take a look. Firstly, you gotta look at the specs. Now, presumably, a laptop half the size of the PS5 wouldn't be able to fit better hardware and surely, well, no. The Acer Predator Helios 300 rocks an Intel 6-core i7-9750H, which clocks in at 4.3 GHz, whereas the PS5 has its custom-built 8-core AMD Zen 2 CPU, which is locked at 3.5 GHz. In plain terms, the PS5 CPU is a bit slower than the laptops, meaning games will not run as quick or smooth. However, what the PS5 does have over the laptop is that it has 2 extra cores, which makes multitasking easier. So you can basically have multiple applications and games open at once and have less of an effect on the overall performance. Alternatively, if you had multiple applications open on the Helios 300, you would start to notice a more significant performance drop. But regardless, the Helios 300 does have the better overall CPU in this case. Then of course there's the GPU. The PS5 is fitted with its own personal AMD RDNA 2 GPU, which honestly is really good. The PS5 can do 4K at 60 FPS, and in some cases, games will actually be made to function at 120 FPS. That's no light GPU, and considering that most GPUs capable of that level of performance would probably amount to the same price as the entire PS5, you kinda get the true understanding of how good the PS5's GPU actually is. Compare that to the Acer Helios 300, which has an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti. Now that GPU is decent, but it definitely won't do 4K and certainly not at 120 FPS. But I think considering the screen doesn't support 4K, that only makes sense that Acer compromises on the GPU a little. Now looking at each gaming device's storage, the PS5 has an 825GB SSD card, of which 100GB is used by the operating system. The Acer Predator Helios 300 takes a different approach of using both a 256GB SSD and a 1TB physical hard drive. So right out the bat, the Helios 300 has more storage by virtue of the hard drive, which the PS5 lacks. This is a pretty substantial thing considering a lot of games are over 100GB these days. One 825GB SSD just isn't enough for those meaty games. And the great thing about the Helios 300 using both forms of storage is that you get the benefits of having more storage overall, while also having the benefits of an SSD's much faster loading times. Obviously, both the laptop and PS5 have expandable storage, so none of this really matters if you're just going to buy extra. But I have to say that the Helios 300 definitely takes the cake when it comes to the SSD. There's also the question of RAM, but we don't have to get too much into that because the PS5 has 16GB DDR4 RAM, while the Helios has only 8GB DDR4. Not only does the PS5 have double the RAM, but also has DDR6 as compared to the Helios's DDR4 RAM. So for specs, it's definitely a mixed bag because some weaknesses of the PS5 happen to be strengths when it comes to the Helios 300 and vice versa. The PS5 wins when it comes to the GPU and RAM, but the Helios wins when it comes to the CPU and storage. So it really comes down to what you want because a laptop and a console offer very different gaming experiences. The laptop is an on-the-go gaming device which lets you experience a kind of watered-down version of PC. The console is definitely not that. It's more of an at-home fun gaming experience for less serious gamers. Then there's the obvious stuff, like the fact that the PS5 doesn't have a 17-inch screen attached to it and an RGB keyboard. The laptop offers less impressive specs in some cases, but makes up for that in the level of versatility it has because it is a complete gaming machine. You pay $1,700 for the Acer Predator Helios 300 and get a full keyboard, 144Hz, 1080p screen. You pay $1,700 for the Acer Predator Helios 300 and get a full keyboard, 144Hz 2080p screen, speakers, and a mic. This means price doesn't really come into it because, sure, the PS5 is a lot cheaper than a gaming laptop like the Helios 300, but you gotta buy a whole bunch of accessories like a TV, headset, or speakers, which would all equate to a pretty similar price and even then the PS5 still can't be thrown into a backpack and taken on the go. You also gotta think about the actual experience with games as well. The PS5 has a massive game library of very expensive games, which a laptop is able to get for half the price thanks to the constant Steam deals. Not only that, but so many games are moddable on Windows, and that's something PlayStation has never had. The Acer Predator Helios 300 is a powerhouse and a full package that includes a screen, keyboard, mic, and speakers. It may not be as graphically capable as the PS5, but it makes up for that in its sheer versatility and in the speed of the i7 CPU. The PS5, with better graphics, only comes with itself and a controller. The PS5 is rigid and meant for the less enthusiastic gamers, whereas the Helios 300 is more for those who itch to game wherever they go. They are two completely different consoles with very different functions, so it's really down to what you would rather want. Anyway, what would you get? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe.